Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. It is a very brisky early December day here in North Carolina, a Zone 8A. Brenda and I have been hanging out today, getting a fire going and just having some fun. What we're going to do today is we are going to have a little late fall garden chat. I'm going to share with you what my plan is for my gardens this fall. What are things that I can be doing right now? What are things that I can be planning for in the future to just kind of help my garden along? I will be full disclosure, as you know that I am around here. It is like, I came out today like around 11 o'clock this morning and it was like 36 degrees. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is cold. Now, I fully recognize that for those of you who are in the colder zones, that is nothing. But for this North Carolina girl, it's pretty chilly. Tonight's going to be 18. So my plan today was, I will show you, if you've been following us, you know this plan. I had the best of intentions, and this definitely needs to be on my fall to-do list. I just decided that today was not going to be the day to do it, was to tame the, the beast of the generous gardener. So that is number one on the list of what you can be doing in your garden this late fall as we go into December. And of course, this is all going to depend, my sweet friends, on where you are. What is your growing zone? What is your current climate? If you are under snow, then maybe you're not going to be doing these kinds of things. But for us that have more mild winters, we can do these things now. So you can be pruning and trimming back and cleaning up your garden. That is the number one task for me in the fall, is cleanup. So what does cleanup mean? Well, first, cleanup means generous gardener getting her under control. It's not really time for me to give her hard prune. I don't give my hard prunes on my roses until it could be like late January, early February. However, she has gotten really out of control. I let her go at the end of the season and it can kind of attack you. So I need to come in here and like pull these limbs, these canes up, and or if I needed to, I could always give them a little trim. So that's number one. Two, you can come see right here in the forest pansy bed. I have not touched this bed, and I have not touched it on purpose, and I'm going to wait just a little bit longer before I come in here. One, I wanted to wait until all the leaves off the forest pansy had fallen off. They have now all fallen, so they are down on the ground. Now what I'm waiting for is for my deciduous shrubs and my herbaceous perennials to go ahead and fully defoliate. So for example, my Edgeworthia right here, love Edgeworthia. It is a fantastic winter interest shrub, because if you can see, and of course we're going to be fighting the sun here, but this is the foliage. It is deciduous, so it's going to lose all that. But do you see all these little downward turned clumps? These are all the flower buds, and they're going to open up in late winter with the most wonderful, delicious fragrance. So I want all of these to lose their leaves. I need my hostas to completely die back so they're not smushy anymore. And then I will come in here and I will clean up. I am a huge fan of a neat and tidy garden. It doesn't have to be pristine and gorgeous, but let's just try to keep it neat and tidy, right? So that is what my number one thing for the fall is to keep that garden neat and tidy, clean up any of those perennials that have been fried by the freeze. Go ahead and get those cleaned up. Next thing, any kind of remaining summer annuals you want to get rid of. Now I know that may sound crazy, but yes, it is December and I had annuals still in the ground. You know that I have been trying to get them out of the ground, but there were certain little areas that I just left. This is one of those. So this is where we did the double up white begonias. And y'all, the reason I left them is because they were looking so good before that freeze came. Now that the freeze has come, they are smush. I mean, they are melted and they can just come out of the ground. They're still, look at that. Look, blessed. They're still green underneath there. I think the 18 degree tonight will probably go ahead and get them. But you can go ahead and get these cleaned up, get them pulled out of the ground, and make way for my next tip. Let's go ahead and start planning for the spring, right? It is never too early to be dreaming and thinking about next year's gardens. I already have great plans for back here. So if you're a follower of us, you know that I have a rather sizable delivery of tulips and other spring flowering bulbs arriving from Color Blends. In fact, I got the notification last night that they were getting ready to be shipped. So they will be arriving, I would think, probably by the end of this week. And what's going to go back here? We are going to do the tulip blend of shocks and struts. Megan, who is our 17-year-old, she is our middle child, loves pink tulips. So she has asked that we do pink tulips back here. And you know what? If my 17-year-old is asking for a specific plant, Mama gives her that plant. So we're going to do shocks and struts back here. Where we're going to put it, we have quite a few of them that are going to be arriving. So they will go ahead and go in clumps, probably here where the begonias are. By the time that the tulips are blooming, the spireas will already be pruned back, so they'll have more room. So the shocks and struts will come in here. We will also go ahead and put them on the corners of, like here in front of the cedar right there. So it will go there. That's a slender hinoki. And so it will go right there in the corners and everywhere like that. And then it will also go up here around the deck boxes and around the patio. So I will also say, maybe you were a little bit delayed on getting, like ordering or buying some of your spring flowering bulbs. I was on Color Blends last night because I was checking on my order and different ones that I was getting. They still have bulbs available. Like one of them was like the woodland hyacinths. You can go ahead and get those. So they have certain ones that they have still in stock and they're 20% off. So if you're interested, you can go ahead, you can go check out Color Blends, just peruse, see what they have available. Depending on your growing zone, they may need to be pre-chilled, they may not need to be pre-chilled. The hyacinths don't have to be pre-chilled for me. They may have some daffodils. Daffodils typically don't have to be pre-chilled. So just kind of look around, see what's going on. As long as your ground is not frozen hard, then you absolutely can be planting bulbs. And so I had placed my order back in the spring. I think it was like March that I placed my order, and they're not arriving, like I said, until this week. Totally appropriate time. They were pre-chilled because I have to pre-chill my tulips because we are a zone 8A, and our winters, while they get cold, 18, they don't stay consistently cold. And so the tulips have to go through that vernalization period where they stay cold long enough, and that way they have good flowers on them. So Color Blends will do a flat rate, and they will pre-chill your tulip bulbs for you. It's going to be too late to do that now, but thinking of in the spring. So if you're like me and you have to pre-chill, for me, it was well worth it. I think it was like $30 to pre-chill all of my bulbs. I was like, yes, please. That's a whole lot cheaper than buying a refrigerator. So that's just something to keep in mind. But go ahead and look and plan on what you want to do for your bulbs, right? Your spring flowering bulbs. Another thing that we can go ahead and do, and y'all, full disclosure, as always, this is a never-ending task for us here in the South. There is a constant thing for us. What am I talking about? Weeding. Now, you may look at these and go, well, Jenny, that's not really a weed. And no, it's not. I don't know if you can see that sweet little flower. That is violas. So last year I had violas in this bed. I don't this year. And Johnny Jump Ups. And the Johnny Jump Ups, they reseeded. So I have got little violas from seeds from last year that are popping up. So while I do have some violas back here behind, and let's see, maybe, kind of. The freeze did get that, but back here I had some morning glories. So, weed your garden. Weed. People ask us all the time, how do you deal with weeds in your flower beds? Generally speaking, our flower beds look pretty good, right? But there are weeds in there. The best way to get rid of weeds in your flower beds, your little hands. That's right. Use those little hands that the Lord gave you and just get those out. So you can always be in there weeding and getting those plants that don't belong in your garden and get them out for sure, because they will, before you know it, they'll overtake your garden, right? And we don't want those to overtake our garden. So let's be in there. And there's something that you can do is just get in there, get those weeds out. And so that way, one, you can get outside and enjoy some vitamin D. I know that Brenna and I were like, we are tired of being cooped up today. We need to get out. So that is what we're doing. We are getting outside and doing a little garden walk and garden talk. Some other things that we are doing in this late fall for our garden. One, it's my all-time favorite thing to do. Doesn't matter, it's year round, but especially here in the fall. Behind me, we're kind of a little bit away from it, but behind me is the front of the house. You can see the side of the house right here. In the front of the house, we have those crepe myrtles. We have multiple trees out there. They are filled with bird feeders because late fall, winter, into early spring, our little feathery friends need some assistance, especially if your ground is covered in snow, in finding good food sources. So I do adore my birds, and they are having quite the field day here. So basically on those 3 crepe myrtles, there are feeders, and then on the back side of this redwood, which is here in the foreground, there is a feeder on it as well. It's starting to be a little empty. I've got to go to the bird store and get some more seed, but go ahead and feed those little friends. Give them some food, make sure they have a water source, and they will bring you so much joy, either just listening to them if you can be outside, or if you can just look through a window. But they need some help getting nice and fat and happy and staying warm and toasty during these colder months. So take care of those sweet little birds. Yeah, and they will have lots of fun. Next, this is a great time to do it, especially if you're in the warmer zones like I am, this is a great time to do landscaping jobs, y'all, and landscaping projects in your own yard. So one that we haven't talked about publicly yet is this little corner right here below the crepe myrtles. So you can see that we have our whole hedge of daylilies that go up the yard here. They're actually still holding on pretty good as far as their foliage. I've been kind of impressed with how well they're doing. Then we have, this is another Edgeworthia right here. So you can see it's taken a little bit of a hit with the cold weather. And then between the Edgeworthia and the crepe myrtles, we have some Weigillas. And these Weigillas really were an experiment for me. We have, I believe there's 4 or 5 in there, and I planted these, oh my gosh, 5-6 years ago, like a long time ago. And they were leftover nursery stock. It's kind of a theme with me, like if y'all don't buy the plants and they sit there for a while, I'm gonna plant them. But I was always kind of under the impression that maybe we were too warm to grow Weigillas. So this was a test. I really wanted to see if they would grow and they would flower and thrive in our heat and humidity. So this was, I think this was like Sonic Red, again, like an old variety from Proven Winners. And as you can see, they're quite big. The biggest one here is on the end, and it's probably 6 to 7 feet tall. I did not prune it this past year at all. Of course, when they bloomed, we're all supposed to be Sonic Reds, so they were all red, but when they bloomed, one was white. So it always drove me crazy when they do bloom, is that they're red and then there's a white one stuck in there. And now that I see that they grow, honestly, I'm just done with it. I don't love these plants. It was a test. That I've done the test, the science experiment is over, and so I'm ready to pull them out. So what I want to do, and again is a great time to do it, is to go ahead and come in here. I'm gonna get Jackson on it for me. Honestly, we'll probably get the excavator, because those are some those are some strong stems in there with the root systems. And so go ahead and just pop these out. And then I want to put hydrangeas in here. So we have the golden pennymac hydrangeas that are up here. Beautiful chartreuse, really nice, pretty color on them. They are a macrophylla hydrangea, so they do that classic hydrangea bloom. But I want to fill this area in here where the weigelas are with a different hydrangea. The exact variety is to be determined, but I'm thinking it would be either like a serrata, so maybe like a tough stuff, one of the tough stuff kind of family members, or a macrophylla. Something that will be a reblooming hydrangea, so whether it's a mac or if it's a serrata, I want to have a reblooming. And of course, Proven Winners has lots of great options to have those that are reblooming. So that means that you're guaranteed to have flowers every year. They bloom on the old wood and the new growth, so that's really good. So just kind of pay attention. We're going to see exactly what hydrangeas will end up here, and I don't think the camera's going to show it, but we just had a red-headed woodpecker show up in the crepe myrtle. So that's what's so fun right now, is that you can watch and observe all the different birds that are coming in. So we have a ton of like Carolina chickadees. We have bluebirds. I just saw a bluebird the other day. We have the tufted titmouses. We have the woodpeckers. Like I said, there's a red-headed woodpecker in the middle tree. We have of course, wrens and finches and all sorts of fun things. And so they are just going to town. I'll make sure everybody's nice and full. And you can see this one, I think maybe that's on the side of the redwood. She's a little empty, so I need to fill her up to make sure that they stay nice and happy. And then my last tip for you, and this is, I'm preaching to the choir right now, is that just slow down. Slow down and enjoy this season. I don't know about you, but with the time change, like we'll be sitting in the house and we'll already have supper and we're like, it's Jackson especially, he's like, oh my gosh, what time is it? He says, it's gotta be like 9 o'clock, 9:30. And I'm like, but it's like 6:30. And he's like, what? So, the Lord gives us this time. There are seasons of everything and for everything, and this is definitely a season where we just slow down. The summer, especially the spring and summer for us, are just bananas, right? I think for most people, it is a go, 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 go time. And then when you hit and enter into this late fall into winter, you're forced to slow down because the daylight's not as long. And so just enjoy the day. Like I was going to do, I had all these plans, right? Go out here and I'm going to prune back some perennials and I'm going to get that generous gardener all set up and make sure that she's good. And I got out here and I was like, it's cold. It's a great day for a fire. We're going to do a fire and we're going to talk about what we're going to do in the fall. So just embrace, slow down. There'll be time to do other stuff on another day, but maybe not today. So just enjoy the season, especially with the holidays, right? Take it easy, relax. Don't get stressed out when you don't have to. And I am the absolute world's worst. You can ask my husband. He has to settle me down like all the time because I can get so worked up. So I'm talking to myself, you're talking to you, so you can encourage me, I will encourage you. Iron sharpens iron. So there you go. So just enjoy the season. Whether that means you go outside and you do a fire in the fire pit, or maybe you go find a good book and you snuggle up on the couch with a hot cup of tea or cocoa or coffee and under a warm blanket and you read a book, or you make your gardening plans for next year and you write things down, whatever that may be. Just enjoy the season. All right, y'all, I know this has been a little bit of a different video today, but like I said, we're going to slow down and enjoy the day and enjoy the season. So Miss Brenna and I are going to go gather some more sticks out of the woods that have fallen, and we're going to build up our fire and sit here and get nice and cozy. I think I might go get me a hot cup of tea as well. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.